me now? Who's gonna tear me down? Remember, this is my game. Yes, it is.
Welcome back to the GGWP podcast. We're very excited to announce that this episode is brought to you in part by Raid Shadow Legends, a stunning new open-world RPG set in post-apocalyptic Washington, D.C., where Dale the Exterminator must single-handedly save the world's milked-up mommies from the onslaught of roach people, saving humanity one can of Raid at a time.
That's right. Got sponsorships already. Doing that great.
Greatly appreciative to that indie developer that's totally not connected to the licensed franchise that's notoriously over-sponsoring smaller content creators. Please give us money. So, with all of that being said,
who doesn't love mommy milkers?
Straight facts. This is going to turn to a whole nother type of podcast. This is going to be a different episode if we go down that path.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, I almost had a comment on it, but I have to sidebar it.
Nope. Hold that.
Can't. Editor, cut that out. Cut it out. So today, topic of discussion being the evolution of co-op, cooperative play, talking all the way back from the split screen days, passing consoles back and forth, the handheld ones at least, all the way through, the boom of multiplayer and the accessibility of it and the implications and the pros and cons and a lot of dumb shit, I'm sure, but we're not quite there yet. So, what would you consider to be some of the earliest co-op? Because obviously there's split screen, but I want to cover all the bases. Let's keep an open mind. Can you think of any way to incorporate cooperative gaming prior to split screen?
Prior to split screen.
Split screen is something similar, because it's like Pong had two controllers, right? It's not really split screen, but you each have a side.
I mean, Pokemon, trading Pokemon, that was a thing. If I'm not mistaken, in the old school games, you had to connect your DS, not DSs, but Game Boys with some kind of cable, a dongle kind of thing, connecting those and trading Pokemon. I never had any friends, so I didn't get to do that. No one traded Pokemon with me, man. Why not?
Hey,
I'm cool.
What? This guy's a fucking loser. I get what you mean. I don't think it technically can count as co-op, but there's definitely a real competitive edge in the old arcade days, imagine having a local arcade. This wasn't my circumstance growing up, but imagine having a local arcade where you can go and, play those games when home consoles aren't such a big thing.
I actually had that.
Compete for high scores,
Believe it or not, but it was more of a modern day arcade where instead of having old school arcade machines, they had video game consoles, and there's just a bunch of them with little monitors, and you can go in there and you pay per hour. Your parents drop you off there, and you get to play games. Luckily, my parents were friends with the people who owned that place, so I got to go in there and get free snacks and play for free and play a lot of multiplayer games there.
That sounds sick.
It sounds sick, but it wasn't sick because I lived in how do I say a economically distressed community. So people were always breaking in and stealing shit there. They ended up closing it down. It didn't last very long because we can't have nice things in the town that I grew up in, unfortunately. But it was cool for a little while when it lasted, for sure.
Hell yeah! I remember we had an ice cream man for a month. They robbed him 4 times. And then we used to get pizza delivered out here by Pizza Hut and stuff. And then they robbed him 4 times. Just kind of a blacklisted area now. As you know, couldn't get McDonald's delivered here. No good reason. They were just nah. We're not going over there, man. Don't worry about it.
And the area doesn't seem that bad. I'm sure it's gotten better throughout the years.
Yeah, all of the other degenerates grew up and got sent to prison, so they're not really here anymore.
Win-win, right? Speaking of
Hell
win-win co-op games, you know what?
oh,
Kind
that
of
was a clever little segue.
yeah. Co-op PVE, same side. You win, I win.
Hmm.
Games like that coming to mind. Borderlands. We can talk about Borderlands all day. I'm sure. I know you're a huge Borderlands fan. What was your favorite one?
I would probably say Borderlands 2. I have the strongest opinions about. I
Hmm.
think that they're all good. I think that it would probably go like Borderlands 2, then Borderlands 3, then the pre-sequel, then Borderlands 1. Which sounds fucked up because it's not like Borderlands 1 is a bad game by any stretch of the imagination.
Hmm.
I just think they really developed further and built upon the concepts that were good in 1 and improved them in 2. And then after that, things kind of became stale because they couldn't continue to innovate. It was more doing
Yeah, it
the
was the
same
same
thing.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was still nice to play, you know. And I'm sure diehard fans are diehard fans for a reason because it does a lot of good things. But for me, once I like finished the story, which I always enjoyed, and did the secret bosses or whatever I wanted to do, and played with my friends a little, that was it. I was ready to go do something else.
So, what point is it where if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Borderlands, they have like a good formula and they keep doing the same thing over. And for a lot of players, it can be repetitive, but like you said, for diehard fans, it can be good. And I think that was the problem with Call of Duty is they had a good program, a good recipe, but they wanted to innovate and they did it in a poor way. They ended up, in my opinion, making a lot of really bad games instead of keeping the same recipe. Do you think if Call of Duty did keep their same recipe and still love those games, a lot of your favorite things from Modern Warfare 2, if they continued to do that, you think you'd still enjoy playing those games today if it was just the same thing every year?
I do, because I feel like there's an X factor at play when we talk about Call of Duty and probably Assassin's Creed and stuff. But I figured this out years and years ago and kind of tested it to see how the development would go over time after I heard about the theory, and it held up. So the thing with Call of Duty, in my opinion, is that there was a lot of market research done on it. Obviously a prolifically successful game franchise, especially right after COD 4, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right then when they were making like billions a year off of Call of Duty. Um, I think that I don't know exactly which game started it. Maybe it was Titanfall, maybe it was something else, but for whatever reason, the marketing team that's doing the research and trying to rig the game and like understand what's coming next opposed to what people like today and forget about tomorrow, they were convinced that all of the advanced movement was going to be what people wanted. That was going to be the new thing. This is it. And because that research is done years in advance and then the games are developed under those preconceived notions 3 or 4 years in advance, we kept getting like immediately the advanced movement was kind of meh and generally disliked. Not like vitriolic hate, but it was like, yeah, I don't like this as much.
Hmm.
And then we still got another like 4 years of annual releases under advanced movement. So as the
Oh,
consumer
that
and
was so bad.
gamer, you're like, what the fuck? Why are we still here? Black Ops 3, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare. What the
Hmm.
fuck are you doing? How much more do we have to tell you? We don't want this. Right? But that's what they thought was going to be it. And those games were already half done by the time the ball dropped, and the community didn't want that, you know?
At least not
So
from a Call of Duty game. I know a lot of people like Titanfall. Those.
I don't remember all of it, like the exact timeline, but let's say somewhere around maybe about the time Advanced Warfare came out, they would have started
Mhm.
working on COD World War II, you know? So it's like
I
Infinite
hated that game.
Warfare was already coming. They shoehorned COD 4 in there just to get sales because they knew nobody wanted to play that whatsoever. And that was the last advanced movement game coming. So that was a survival strategy, if you ask
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I mean, and Call of Duty 4 was great, the remaster, but
They
they
lost
ruined
me at the DLC, man.
they
That
ruined
really
it
turned
with
me off of it.
they added loot boxes and ruined it
Yeah,
with
yeah,
with
I
guns
don't.
in them.
Yeah, like limited edition guns pissed me off in COD 4.
They did the same thing in Black Ops 3, and that's why Black Ops 3, well, not just with the advanced movement, but loot boxes that had weapons in them. Like if you want to play with this gun, whether it was better or not, you wanted to play with it, you had to spend money on loot boxes or get incredibly lucky. I think in the Modern Warfare or the Call of Duty remastered that came with Infinite Warfare, it was even worse because you had to get weapon parts and you had to get like 10 of them to unlock the weapon, and you had to like get that out of a loot box multiple times over, not just get lucky once and get it. You had to get the parts and put it all together,
Like as
which
soon as they
was
added the MP44 or whatever to COD 4 and I couldn't use it, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm
yeah,
not doing this
it was a
anymore.
shame. It was a shame they ruined that game because it was the best thing they had for the last couple years.
Yeah, and I'd say
That time.
that's true the whole time. You know, it really just feels like some bullshit slap in the face. I have no problem with any game putting like a skill requirement or a longevity requirement behind something, you know. But when it's literally a paywall with no conceivable way to circumvent it, like completely different topic, but for argument's sake, something like Paladins or lots of other games have similar mechanics where you have a paid in-game currency as well as a much slower generating free currency that you get from winning or playing or doing whatever. So you can make an argument that it's a lot easier and faster to pay for it, but as long as you have the ability to earn it, I'd be okay with it. But that wasn't the case.
I
It
mean,
was
they definitely had an ability to earn it in the Call of Duty remastered, but it was so tough. You had to do really specific tasks and a lot of them, lots and lots of them to unlock the
See,
guns.
I don't remember that. I don't know if that came later or how that worked, but as I recall, it was you have a chance to get this gun out of this box. You buy these boxes with paid currency. That's how you get the gun. End
Well,
of conversation.
that was definitely the way it was in Black Ops 3, and that was unfortunate. And Black Ops 3 again had that advanced move that you're talking about that the community really disliked. I disliked it. I mean, I had an elite controller at the time, and I was able to do the advanced movement pretty well. But even with that, I would have preferred the boots on the ground type of game instead of that advanced movement.
It didn't seem like they even designed the maps for the kind of movement they realistically had, you know.
Yeah, they had some wall ride spots and stuff, but I mean that was really about it.
Yeah, but that shit's kind of boring, because it's not like something you can use. It's like you have two cliffs and a pit with a piece of wood on the side, and it's like implied that this is your only way of getting over there.
Hmm.
I think you have to have the options to mix it up.
You're
It's
gonna
like
implement
throwing
like a
feints in
Lucio
a.
type wall ride into the game.
No, I'm just saying, if you're corralling people into doing these crazy movements that are different and unique that make the game less predictable, then you're not actually doing that. You're just forcing people to participate in silly shit
Hmm.
like wall running in a Call of Duty game, you know. If it was designed in a way so that you could run on most walls in most situations, it'd be a little bit different. But when your buildings have windows and metal bars and shit like that mess up your momentum, and then you have areas of the game that are, like I said, gaps where you fall to your death or you ride on the wall, that's like that's your only option for traversing that specific area.
Hmm.
So if you're an enemy, you can just camp it. And if you're the guy playing it, then you're at a massive disadvantage. And like I said, it feels less like you have these extra things that add to the skill ceiling and let you, get creative and have fun, and more like you're being corralled into doing things that are weird, you know.
Yeah,
My opinion on it.
I remember us playing Black Ops 3 a whole lot and playing the Nuketown again. They add Nuketown every time they have a
Oh
Black
my
Ops
god,
game.
that's the Grand Theft Auto 5 of Call of Duty.
Yeah, Nuketown. They have Nuketown in the new Call of Duty too. Vanguard, I think, or maybe it was Cold War. Either way, yeah, doing wall riding trick shots for final kills on our quick scoping fights, and always fucking that up somehow. Always fucking it up and killing each other without doing trick shots and just ruining the whole
Every
entire.
time.
Yeah,
Every time. That's the
one of us
vibe
more
there.
than the other, but yeah, someone always was doing that.
Easy peasy. One is gonna
But
win.
me and my brothers played a lot of Call of Duty split screen, a lot of it. My game, our Call of Duty would have been Modern Warfare 3. That's what I played the most of.
I definitely played split screen the most on World at War at a friend's house. when I was
Zombies,
in
doing zombies.
projects. No, they didn't even have zombies unlocked. Like literally in World at War zombies, you couldn't unlock zombies until you beat the campaign. It wasn't just a game mode that you have. It was like a little niche Easter egg originally.
Mm.
And you just had that one shitty map, no perks, no upgrades or anything. But people loved zombies. Like that was the shit. Split screen and online. You know, zombies really carried the Black Ops games in a lot of ways.
The only zombies games that I enjoyed, I had the Call of Duty Zombies on mobile on my iPod Touch.
Gross, dude. I remember that. Not the same.
It definitely was not the same. But I had definitely had that game.
Well, you've played a little zombies with me. You
I have.
didn't get deep into it because it was less relevant. We were like visiting it retroactively, super old games. But the custom maps and stuff, I mean, you got a taste of the general vibe. And
I
what you're
definitely
doing and,
played it.
getting your pathing and stuff and the abilities you like, your favorite weapons.
It definitely is
I
an
like
OG
zombies.
of the co-op experience. I remember playing that one map that had the bus and the dread of being left by the
Oh
bus or
god,
hopping
I
off
hate
the bus.
Transit. That's like the worst zombies map that's ever existed. Fuck Transit, dude.
Is
If
it?
you
I
like
don't know. I thought
Transit, get
people
the
liked
fuck
it,
out
man.
of here. Don't even listen to my shit.
That
Like, fuck Transit. And fuck you for supporting Transit. I hate Transit.
it wasn't that bad, but being left by the bus did
It's
so.
a bunch of fucking weird crocodile monkeys in a goddamn cornfield jumping up at you out of nowhere. Bunch of horse shit at every single goddamn place you can go. You never have what you need because it's fucking 3/4 of a mile away through the dense fog.
Oh yeah, that thing would jump on your face out of nowhere.
And these are valid complaints because this is coming from me. If someone's leaving people, I'm the one that's actually on the bus. I'm the one leaving other people to die. So it's
I'm
like
being
I
left to
still
die.
have problems with it.
I'm that revive symbol fading off in the distance.
Oh, for sure. I will say, speaking of zombies and co-op, though, 2 games distinctly come to mind that are a little bit different. The first being Left 4 Dead 2. I guess you could lump the first game in there as well. Both very good, very similar, but Left 4 Dead 2, I think, is a little bit more popular and iconic with the maps and stuff. Super good time. You get you and some buddies, and you just start shooting at shit, man. Valve hitting it out of the park as per usual.
What was the other one? Dead Island.
Yeah, Dead Island. Dead Island is. I honestly, when I replayed it a couple years ago, when my brother first got a PC, and I was trying to like show him the ropes and ease him into using a keyboard and mouse and something a little bit more story based, just to get that kind of muscle memory down. We played a little bit of Dead Island, and the game definitely starts slower, regardless. But it wasn't holding up as well as I remembered it. It just felt a little bit clunky. The graphics weren't bad or anything like that.
The levels are pretty linear, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but the story wasn't bad. The first and second game had huge plot twists right at the very end, So it's kind of repetitive that they both have huge plot twists. But I think if I remember correctly, in both situations, it's not super predictable. So it works. And I believe Dead Island 3 got turned into Dead by Daylight.
Really?
Yeah,
I've played that game a decent amount.
some shit happened with the development and the publisher and whatnot, and things ended up splitting off. And it's not DayZ, so it's either Dead by Daylight or something else that starts with a D. That the foundation of Dead Island 3 got turned into, and then that became a very successful franchise like Dead by Daylight or whatever. And so that's why there was no more Dead Island. But realistically, I mean, maybe that game is similar to what Dead Island would have been anyway. So it's more of just an arbitrary name change than anything meaningful,
Yeah, that game, it had a lot of similar mechanics To both games did. So
I liked
I
all
can
the
definitely.
crafting and all the
Mhm.
secret shit. I love secret shit in video games, like overpowered weapons or armor, or that
Secret
kind of shit
bosses
that
and
you have
stuff.
to go do weird shit to get.
Yeah, yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
In Dead Island, there was quite a few like weapon blueprints and shit like that that were
Hmm.
like that. So it was always really fun for me to go on these long, convoluted quests looking for. I want to say one time it was like hands.
Hands.
Yeah. It was something, there was at least one hand involved. It was something on the beach, maybe some different colored gems or something. But
Did the quest was the quest titled something slightly adult appropriate?
I have no idea. I don't even remember if they
The
titled
handy.
quests in that game. Oh man, what is wrong with
Better
you?
question would be what is right with me? It would be a shorter list, but yeah, talking about the history of this. So we mentioned Pong. That's got to be one of the first. Is it one of the first games ever, and one of the first multiplayer games ever?
Pong is definitely the first game. I want to say Tetris is still like the biggest game
Hmm.
because it came out at a similar period and was successful and popular then. And believe it or not, it's successful and popular now. I don't know who the fuck plays Tetris, but
They have competitive Tetris. I don't know
it
how
has
you do
like
that.
its community and it's been fostering that since like the late
There's like a
70s.
pro league of Tetris players.
Yeah,
It
so
blows my mind.
I would say, man, someone who really knows their shit, some fucking nerd, I mean enthusiast, is gonna correct me on this, but I want to say we went from like Pong to like Space Invaders,
Yeah, I remember that game.
and then asteroids, and
Pac-Man
you
somewhere
know,
in there, right?
yep, yep, definitely. Pac-Man's in there, and Tetris, and those are some of the big OGs in overall gaming, to say the least.
But Pong being it was multiplayer. I never played it. That game was out before I was a twinkle in my dad's eye. So I couldn't tell you. I'd assume it was multiplayer. I don't know if you played against a bot or against somebody else, but I'd imagine
Yeah,
that
and
would start the
it
whole
had a
thing.
big knob. That was a control.
A
You
big
turn it
knob,
left or you turn it right. Yeah, like a
easy enough.
volume knob in a car. It's literally
I
a
can
knob
imagine
on a
it. Yeah.
paddle. You turn it left to go up, you turn it right to go down, and that's all
Well,
you do.
where did we go from that? From Pong? How did the evolution begin to take place for multiplayer games? What was the next jump that you know of or that you experienced with?
Ooh, that I know of for sure. I mean, the Atari probably had a decent amount of other titles that I can't name that were played, Because
Hmm.
back then, it's always about the context of the time period. It's like they were going to find ways to play together regardless,
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of games have like a turn taking mechanic. Like even in Crash Bandicoot 4, that's the most recent game I've seen that has it. They have a separate setting for passing the controller back and forth. Like one
Yeah, I
person
played
plays
games
as
like
this
that. Yeah.
skin, one person the other. You try the level. If you lose, then it goes to the other, right? Stuff like that. So I'm sure that's really like the earliest forms of co-op, so to speak.
Hmm.
But if you ask me, shit hit the fan with I would say honestly, even though I played a lot of old consoles like the Genesis and Dreamcast, I don't remember it doing any kind of multiplayer. Maybe we didn't have two controllers, maybe it wasn't prevalent.
Hmm.
For me and my experience, multiplayer really took off with like split screening on the Super Nintendo and then even more so on the Nintendo 64.
Playing
The
some
Super
Mario Kart.
Nintendo. Yeah, and Super Nintendo had Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Country, which is designed to be played with two people. Even if you play
Hmm.
it by yourself, you have two of the Kongs with you.
Yeah,
So
Nintendo really solidified themselves as like a family gaming console, family oriented, making a lot of games around the local multiplayer aspect. Mario Party, Mario Kart, like we mentioned. Um, Donkey Kong. You know, a lot of these games are like that. Mario. Some of these games are still going today. You know, they got brand new for the Switch. You know, party games. Like,
Everything we just listed is still
yeah,
around
yeah,
today, and it's
yeah,
still popular and well received, and that's why you gotta respect Nintendo. You know.
yeah. They've really put the stamp on that. To go to the Wii.
Yeah, the Wii is a whole nother multiplayer experience. You know, the Wii, like you're saying, you know, as far as like family consoles, I don't think the Super Nintendo really did that. Even though it did it with my family, I don't think that the Nintendo 64 did that quite as much.
No, the Wii
The
definitely brought
Wii
my family
definitely got
together.
everybody involved.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. Wii Sports, every single game mode on there, almost was a blast to play with multiple people. And that's one of those games where it's not split screen. You know, the bowling one you're taking turns, the tennis one, you know, it's all one screen, and that's, in my opinion, more enjoyable. So you don't have to get your screen split up into these smaller, harder to see screens.
And you don't have to have a bunch of controllers.
Yeah, you
And
can pass
bitches
the
weren't
same
cheap.
one. Yeah, no, they really weren't. But yeah, the Wii really
Kind of makes it feel
milestone
like
for
a
that.
whole home entertainment system, you know, the way that the
Mhm,
games are
mhm.
designed so that you can just like put in names and quickly jump in and customize shit.
My
Although I
parents
will
actually
say they
enjoyed
were
making their own Mii.
I was about to say they were full of shit when it came to making those Mii's. They got like the most generic NPC looking actors possible. Like clearly sought out people that look like Mii's and then showed that to the world like this is how accurate it'll be to you. And it's not at all. They just found people that look like these damn near formless nightmare fuel puppets of people.
Yeah, I enjoyed making Mii's that were super obscene with their eyeballs either really far apart, really far in, and just in unnatural locations. Because you really had the opportunity to make some really jacked up looking people.
I think I made like a super racist Japanese woman.
Oh no. I want to
Like
ask you how you did that. Maybe we
like
shouldn't describe
full
how
on
racist it was.
can you imagine the China Walk guy from South Park, the way his eyes are drawn, being
Oh
like
no.
arrows pointing in with like that and like some rabbit teeth,
Yikes.
like some other shit. Yeah, I mean, had fun with it. I'm pretty sure I even saw like YouTube tutorials of how to make different celebrities, like a Michael Jackson me.
Yeah,
Your
I
little angular nose and
definitely
crazy
went there
eyes and shit.
looking up how to make those. Got a Kanye West me.
Oh man, you're making Kanye West jokes a decade before Kanye West jokes.
Yeah,
That's impressive, dude.
yeah.
But Nintendo kills that shit, dude.
They did.
Like
They
their
did.
party games, which for me is significant. Touching back on the Nintendo, because you know that's the birth of Mario Party.
Mhm.
And if I'm not mistaken, there may have been an earlier version of Super Smash Brothers on the SNES, but the first one I'm aware of and played is Brawl, which was
I'm
on
on
the Nintendo
GameCube.
64.
I played GameCube for those
Oh
games.
man, that's my favorite one. Super Smash
Yeah.
Brothers Melee.
I also
That's my
played
shit.
a Digimon fighting game that was really fun. Are you familiar with that? On
I don't
GameCube?
know about a fighting game on GameCube, but I know PS1. I definitely played Digimon games and I liked them.
It was pretty much the exact same format as Super Smash Brothers, but with Digimon characters. I hadn't even watched Digimon or knew anything about it, but I knew their characters looked cool and they had cool abilities, so I played that game a lot. Probably more than I played Super Smash Brothers, to be honest. But both of those, again, I'm a big fan of same screen multiplayer games like that.
You know
A
what
lot
I
of fun to do
realized
that.
recently is I've spent a lot of time playing Yu-Gi-Oh video games back in the day because you know you played what you had, and to this day I don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I
Yeah,
like beat the games. I used to go to tournaments in person as a young child to play
fucking nerd.
Yu-Gi-Oh, and I didn't have any understanding of attack points or defense. I don't even know how the fuck we used to score that shit. Like I know I never did any of the math or anything, but I
No.
literally looking back on it had no understanding of the game whatsoever other than like Blue Eyes White Dragon and Exodia. And like that obviously is inconsequential. So
Yeah, that means nothing. Yeah, I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh anything. I didn't even watch the TV show. Um, to me, I looked at that like nerd. I'm not, and I didn't want to be that. Dragon Ball Z, yes. Yu-Gi-Oh, that's getting a little bit too into it. Maybe I was just I don't know.
Hey man, I just watched it and liked it and whatnot, you know?
My man went to physical card Yu-Gi-Oh battles.
Yeah, there were
That is
like,
one of the nerdiest things I've ever heard in my entire life.
yeah,
That's like having one of those waifu pillows.
well, there was a kid down the street whose older brothers went and did that, and you
Were they
know, it was an
obese?
option. No, but I don't think anyone in their household made enough money to have food. They're
Oh.
probably drug addicts by that point. But for me, it was just you know, Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and get some pizza and you know, looking back at the other people who were there who were older, yeah, those are exactly what you would think, like comic book guy style, you know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I won't say much about those people, but neckbeards.
So, regardless of your biased, judgmental, pandering, should soon to be canceled opinion on the Yu Gi Oh players of the world and the Joe Rogan podcast fans, I heard what you said last time. Man, what an awful comment to make. Can't believe you'd take it there.
Hey man, I'm a Joe
Anywho,
Rogan lover.
anywho, uh, I think it's time to accelerate that timeline a little bit, you know? We've talked a pretty good amount about the old shit, but we know for a fact that everything really took a significant turn with online gaming and in out of I can acknowledge my own ignorance. Realistically, I wasn't on PC, which has had a massive impact in the games I'm aware of and I interact with. And I was also like super young when World of Warcraft came out, but to my understanding, that was a real fucking period in online gaming
Yeah,
where like
yeah,
everyone was addicted and there was huge player base and it was like a whole subcultural thing, you
yeah.
know?
I know a guy who he's probably 40 something now. And he was a hardcore gamer back in the World of Warcraft days, and he told me about how addicted he was to that game, where he would spend all of his time playing that game when he wasn't at work, and his wife would want him to go do family activities, go to birthdays, go do this, go do that, and he would almost always tell her no and sit at the house and play World of Warcraft up until the point where it started to cause issues in his marriage, where she was threatening to pretty much leave him because he played that game way too much and kept choosing that game over pretty much any real life scenario that he was, responsible to be a part of, and ended up
Wise
quitting.
man.
He ended up quitting video games entirely to avoid being sucked back in like that. He wouldn't play video games with me at all for fear of getting sucked back into a video game addiction, which in his case was World of Warcraft.
Pathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, but I never played that game, but apparently it had a ridiculous pull and draw for people to grind out some. I don't know what they were doing. I'm ignorant on that, but
You know,
definitely
people are
brought
still
people
like
into
that
it.
to this day with old school RuneScape. Not even like one of the newer versions with good graphics, but like the old shitty one that you could run from literally anything you can imagine. Where like the entire game is pressing mouse one to get
Yeah,
up your skills for different things.
I definitely played RuneScape when I was younger. I played a RuneScape account. I was probably 12 or so. I had a RuneScape girlfriend. Probably was a dude.
Did you buy her?
No, no. I remember it was a terrible experience for me as a 12-year-old, having a RuneScape girlfriend. So we were playing, made sure to sync up times we were online so we could play together. And she ended up, I went to go do some farming or something, and I came back to where our hangout spot was, and she was chatting it up with some other dude, and it was heartbreaking for me that my RuneScape girlfriend was
Let me
chatting
get
up.
this right. You're getting cucked as a child by a grown man catfishing you on RuneScape, and you think me, as a 9-year-old playing in a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, is the nerdiest thing ever?
Hey man, you never
Fuck
played
yourself,
RuneScape?
dude.
Man,
You're getting cucked on RuneScape, my guy. Come
you don't know.
on.
You don't know any. I don't know any better, man. It might not have been a dude. Likely was a dude, but maybe not a dude.
Schrodinger's trap. It's only gay if you
Exactly.
question whether or not it's a man.
I never questioned it at all. We rolled with it. It was a female avatar. That's a chick. That's got to be a chick. What dude makes his character female? As a child, as a kid, You make a manly dude character, a masculine man character, not a female character. But
That's true. I don't know at what point the degeneracy corrupted me and I started creating female characters. Big titty goth GFs. I don't know.
yeah,
If I
but
hop into a RPG and I can do it, that's exactly what's going to happen. Don't know. Maybe that's just my inner feminist, you know? I'm just more in tune with, you know, the needs of a greater society.
I mean, if you don't like looking at hardcore glistening abs, that's on you, man. But yeah, I got cooked in RuneScape. Yeah, he had better armor, better gear, more money.
Oh, he had better gear.
Better. I
Oh,
couldn't even
no.
challenge him to a PvP battle, like a 1v1 fight to do that. I couldn't.
God.
I saw it. I
I can
questioned
just
it.
imagine you just tiny sitting in the back of the car looking out the window with the Berserk Guts theme playing. You know, questioning it all.
Yeah,
Damn.
it was a rough experience. My childhood is scarring to this day. It's tough for me to regurgitate it.
Oh man, so that's why you don't play RuneScape.
Nope,
Little
we haven't
heart
played
just can't
RuneScape
take
since
it.
then. We literally logged out and didn't come back.
All right, well, so we can acknowledge, you know, the big booms in multiplayer that happened that we weren't necessarily a part of, but there's also bigger booms that we were a part of that continue to this day, particularly around the Xbox 360 PS3 era, where, you know,
Destiny,
COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2, Battlefield,
Borderlands
Bad
games.
Company 2. Yeah, all of that stuff
Yep,
was like the peak of the franchise was around a very similar time. Assassin's Creed isn't multiplayer, but it came out in the same time. They made lots of good games right then. What was that last one?
I said Portal.
When did Portal come out? I know it used to be in the Orange Box collection. You know, that Valve shit? But I don't know exactly when it came out.
Yeah,
Portal's definitely a noteworthy co-op experience, though.
Portal 1 or Portal 2 had to be around that time frame of those great multiplayer games. The big multiplayer boom where if you're bringing out a game, a AAA game, it better have multiplayer. It's got to. And that still, I think, is true today. I think a lot of games, most of your AAA games are multiplayer-centered games.
I'd say most.
Yeah, most. There's a couple that are single player that are really good. You know, Cyberpunk 2077, but
I think Fallout New Vegas came out within a couple of years of Portal 2. Fallout 3 may have come out similar time to Portal 1. Those are great games, but that's another conversation. This isn't fucking RPG episode. It's about co-op. So stay on track. What are you talking about Fallout for, man? Damn.
Yeah, my bad. I brought that up.
Nuisance.
What a terrible
Editor,
game.
cut that out. It's stupid. Fucking dumbass editor. Anywho. So.
But yeah, Destiny, Borderlands, Minecraft. When did Minecraft come out?
Minecraft came out around 2011. I actually played Minecraft when it was like early stages, PC only, because I could run it on anything.
So did you ever play the Minecraft multiplayer? What was like the Hunger Games?
Like the Hunger Games?
Yeah, they had Minecraft multiplayer servers that you would join, and it'd pretty much be the Hunger Games type of scenario. It was very pre-built maps with loot in different areas and stuff, and you'd all spawn in a circle just like in the movie Hunger Games, and the timer would count down, and you'd be able to start. Bunch of loot in the middle, really good stuff in the middle, and you go there, you start grabbing stuff out of boxes, fighting for it, killing other people, and pretty much just trying to be the last one alive. The OG Battle Royale is what that was.
Yeah, no, I think you're overestimating my entertainment factor back in those days. What I did on Minecraft was I loaded into the game on my friend's private server, because they were playing PC games. Like, they were playing Counter-Strike at this time, and I had heard them mention it, but I didn't know what that really was.
Would have been Source then, or would it have been Go?
It wouldn't have been CSGO yet, but I don't know that it would be Source. They could have meant 1.6 as well. But regardless, they were like, where I jumped into their Minecraft game and immediately one of my friends was building a giant like monument with like solid diamond hair and shit like that, like blocks. And all I did was spend enough time to gather materials and steal shit from other people. And then I climbed inside of his monument from underground. I dug a tunnel through the shoe and then up the leg all the way into the head, filled it with TNT, and blew it up. And that was about as entertaining as you would expect it to be. And then I was like, all right, my job's done here. That
Now,
was
was this
Minecraft.
on
That was a
survival
good time.
mode?
Yeah.
So he had to grind out those diamonds and mine all those diamonds.
Yeah. Creative mode didn't even exist at this time, to my knowledge.
Yikes.
Like
Yikes.
this was real early. This is like alpha or beta access Minecraft before they added 3/4 of the
Did he
things that are
have
in there today.
real world resentment towards you for that?
Oh, 100%.
He
But-
just burned a friendship there.
But it was hilarious.
I bet it was. I bet I would do something like that.
You know what the best part was?
What?
When I had tunneled into the head and I'm sitting up there, I hear something and I'm like, oh, fuck, you caught me. And then I literally see somebody else pop their head up a ladder with a TNT block in their hand. And it was the third person that we were playing with, and we couldn't say anything to each other. So
Both
we
hated
just
this
like
guy.
slowly started putting our TNT down.
Damn.
And you know, I never told him that that was going to happen anyway. I just went ahead and took the blame for it because in my mind I was going to do it by myself anyway. You know, why should I get someone else involved if I could just take the blame for it? Whether or not he came up with
Take
it,
the
that
blame.
was
You
going
mean
to
take the
happen.
credit for greatness.
That's my legacy. OG griefing on Minecraft. They don't even have a term for it. I think they called me a griefer or something. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means, dude. I don't know anyone that died. I'm not griefing. What do you mean? Like, don't be stupid.
Yeah, and then around that same time frame, Destiny 1. Played a lot of Destiny 1.
Yeah, Destiny was super sick. And honestly, I'll take credit for it. I haven't really paid attention to what they've done since their publisher left or whoever. Because, you know, the dev team kept going and put in a lot of work and effort into making good content for the game and getting it, you know, better and better. But I just haven't been a part of it.
The problem with
like-
Destiny was like the DLCs costed full game prices.
My
And if you-
problem with it was that the timing never worked out, right? Like I got to very max light best gear in the game well
Mhm.
before the next DLC was going to come out. So like by the time it does come out, I'm like, I don't even care anymore, dude. I'm not playing Destiny anymore. I'm doing other stuff. You know?
Yeah, and I still played some of it through that, but the problem with it was they would, if you didn't buy the DLC, when Destiny 1 came out, I was still, I think my parents bought it for me, so I was still under using their money, essentially, waiting on them to buy stuff for me. And I would not be able to convince my dad to buy me a $60 DLC for a game that he paid $60 for 3 months ago. But if you didn't buy it, they would cap your level, then you'd have limited playability at that point without having the DLCs, which really sucked. And while we're talking about buying DLCs, my brother stole my dad's credit card one time and used it to buy a couple $100 worth of items in the PlayStation Store without his consent. My dad didn't know about it, and boy, were they pissed. I'm sure you can imagine the ass beating that ensued after this. And to make it all worse is that what he bought was for something called the, I don't remember what it was called, but it was a PlayStation exclusive. It was like a little social hub kind of area. You had an avatar in there, and you could buy cosmetics for your avatar to wear. They gave you no benefit.
No.
There was no games you were playing. There was no fighting. It was just a social hub for you to voice chat or text chat with people in an area. So he bought a bunch of stuff to make his character look cool in this. And then a few months later, because it's so long into PS3's running, they ended up shutting that service down a few months later because it was just so old. So he sent all this money on cosmetics for something that they ended up shutting down. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was rough.
God. Yeah, I bet he got a tremendous ass beaten over
Spent
that.
like $200-$300 or something like that in cosmetics just for some
Yikes.
particle effects. Hey, but my particle effects are cool, so part of me
They
doesn't blame
are,
him,
but
but
yikes. That's
yeah.
a rough one. The nature of the kind of game he's playing too just makes it worse.
Yeah, there's no benefit whatsoever. Literally just a
He's like
social hub.
a growing up Discord mod right now. He's
He
gonna
really
get
is.
deep
Have you?
into Reddit.
We won't get into it, but you gotta see him again sometime soon. He looks like the type of
Yeah.
guy.
Kind of guy wear a top hat and say "milady." Take an interest in
Actually, very, very accurate.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Sorry about your loss. So, but I will say that I don't know how young he was at the time, but there is a lot of incentive. And to be honest with you, I knew that by essentially stealing money from my dad with like a pre-added credit card or something was going to get me fucked up. And I didn't care. I was like, yeah, I'll deal with that.
Oh,
Whatever.
so you have experience doing that too? What did you buy?
I do. I never spent like hundreds on dumb shit like that, but there's definitely various games that could be anywhere from 15, 20, 30. Probably only once or twice something more expensive than that. But I definitely did that several times. I got in trouble for it every time, and it didn't really deter me because
But you're like,
I'm a
what's the
fucking
worst going to
gamer.
happen? Is he going to return it? Oh, wait, you can't return video games.
Yeah, it's like I downloaded this, so what are you gonna do? It's like he could have taken it, but in my house, video games were good. That was the least violent or illegal thing we could possibly be doing, and it held our attention. So it was like, that's a good call.
While we're on the topic of spending money in video games, gambling, loot boxes. Hot take, let's hear it.
Dog shit. I hate them.
Facts,
Extra dog
facts.
shit. I hate it a lot.
I know there was actual lawsuits. Was it Call of Duty that had the lawsuits against them
I
at one
think
point?
it was FIFA.
FIFA, yeah, that's what it was. You're right. Yeah, right. Yep. Some state was actually suing them for the loot boxes. Speaking of which, while we're on the topic, who the hell plays FIFA games? It's the same game
Mexicans.
every year. Mexicans.
I mean, statistically, it has to be, right?
I can't believe they're making enough sales to keep making more of those games every single year.
Well, I'd say the same about a lot of different games, but a lot of people play the NBA 2K games. A lot of people play the wrestling games, People play those games, man. I don't see the appeal personally. I've never really liked sports games. Even
Yeah.
like back in the day, playing Madden and shit
I
like
played
that was
Madden back
not
in
my
the day.
preference. I could do it, but it was not like what I wanted to play. I'd rather play a fighting game or a racing game, a shooter, something like that.
I remember playing a lot of Madden 2001 on my PlayStation 2 with my brothers. That was one of the multiplayer games we played a whole lot of. 01 Madden.
Yeah,
Damn,
I
that's
remember
21
playing
years
a lot
ago.
of the
Holy
wrestling
shit.
games,
Yeah.
like the SmackDown versus Raw and stuff like that.
See, those were rated T for teen, and I wasn't a teen yet, so I couldn't play those. Couldn't play those. Madden 01, though. Rated E, man. Rated E. We got that.
Yeah, we played like, I don't know, it wasn't a Madden game. Maybe it was NFL and NBA, but anyway, the street games, like literally playing instead of on a field, like in an alleyway.
Playing
I want to
football.
say you could even like punch people in the football game. Yeah, you could
not
like
familiar.
kick them in the stomach or some shit. It was a little bit edgier. I thought it
Reminds
was,
me of the
highly
wasn't there
entertaining.
like a Def Jam fighting game?
Oh, dude, those games were the shit.
I don't have
Def
a lot
Jam
of experience
Vendetta
with them,
and
but I'm
Def Jam
familiar.
Fight for New York. And then they made another one after that I never got to play. But the originals were great because they're all a bunch of rappers,
Mm-hmm.
Snoop Dogg was a final boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had Sean Paul and Fat Joe and all kinds of people in those games, man. Those were fun.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with those. A topic I wanted to talk about on this
Watch
podcast.
this. We're going to go viral. Among Us. That's a co-op. But we'll footnote that. We'll put it on the back burner. What were you going to say?
I definitely think that can be coped in. I definitely wanted to talk about the best and worst multiplayer games. I
Big
know a lot of
facts.
games that fall into both categories that are the both and best and worst at the same time. For me, best, just a couple coming off the top of my head. I don't know if a lot of people know about this game. I know me and you played it a lot, which would be Gunfire Reborn. For people out there
Sick
who
game,
don't have
for
that
sure.
game, I cannot recommend it highly enough. A really fun game to play, especially if you got friends to play with. But even without it, it's a fun game to run solo. Kind of like a roguelike first-person shooter. Really fun game.
Good progression too. I played a lot by myself.
Oh yeah,
just
yeah.
getting
With
those
skill trees
points
and stuff. Yep, yep.
So when you do play with your friends, you can get further.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And one that could be, in my opinion, in both categories, best and worst, Tarkov. And for those who know about Tarkov, I don't even think I have to explain that. I think we all universally understand what I mean by best and worst. This game has really high highs and really low lows. Probably lower lows, but they also have really high highs.
Yeah, that game's dangerous. That game's kind of addictive.
It is.
By the time you start getting good, it's like, ooh, I can't stop. I'm getting all this delicious, juicy loot.
Yeah. And then you die right at extraction and you lose it all.
Yeah, then you lose it all and you're filled with existential dread.
Yeah. That game.
Tarkov isn't for the faint of heart, but it's a ride, That's what I appreciate in a video game. Some kind of reaction, good or bad. At least that means it means something,
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. What do you got? What are some of your best multiplayer games? I mean, we talk a lot about COD. Let's avoid COD games? We talk a lot about Call of Duty.
I could spend the rest of my life never bringing up Call of Duty except Modern Warfare 2. Easily.
Yeah, that's a good one. I know you got a lot of experience on that one. But besides Call of Duty, what are you thinking?
Well,
Best
what
multiplayer games?
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up at all, but since you said it, it jogged my memory. And I will say that what I really appreciated about it, and Overwatch has a similar thing going, lots of games do, was the kind of community game modes, right? Like it didn't exist. You couldn't create custom rules or anything like that, but there were several games that the general population knew how to play. And if you didn't know how to play, that's okay. We'll show you. We'll explain it. We'll teach you, and you're going to have
Warfare,
a great, good time.
Or Call of Duty private lobbies.
Yeah, like COD 4 MW2 days, like people knew how to play Michael Myers, Infected. There was a game called like either Grandma's House or Border Patrol that you played on. It's not Overgrown. Can't remember the name of the map. It was in COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2.
I loved those game modes because you can almost always go on YouTube and look up how to do the strafe jump spots and get into these crazy jump spots no one else could get into.
Yeah, and all of that stuff was like some of my favorite stuff. Like all of the high skill jumps, and it's like if Myers knows how to do those, well, now we got a real fucking game on our hands.
Myers never knew how to do those.
Oh man, well that's I enjoyed all that, and like I said, Overwatch has something similar with community maps, and they tried to like roll it in with the regular game, having like infection lobbies and stuff, but
they did, yeah.
It's just not the same, and I think a big part of the multiplayer in those games was also the lack of party chat. Like over the years, we've gotten less and less interested in talking with other people. At this point, I don't even like use my push to talk. I don't really care. I'm not there to engage with people. I'm just there to play the game. Like, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just not interested in interacting.
Multiplayer lobbies were a battleground. Everyone's seen memes about the lobbies back in those days, and having lived through it,
that's how millennials coped with the Great Recession, 2008. Thanks, Obama.
I think this generation needs to be bullied in online games, and there's not enough people out there, not enough platforms that allow bullying in these multiplayer games. We need to bring back bullying.
Because everyone takes everything to heart. If I tell someone to kill themselves in a video game, it's not that your life is genuinely meaningless and there aren't people who don't love you that would miss you, It's that you should fucking kill yourself. How dare you come into my lobby and try to headshot me? You're not even moving when you're peeking me. You think that I'm incapable of shooting a stationary target at range? kill yourself today. See, the context matters, and it's like at some point we lost that. You know, some people were always going to be more sensitive than others to that kind of speech, but I would say a vast majority of people like engaged in it actively. So
A
like,
lot of it was just a bait out reactions. I took part in a lot of that.
and there was a lot. It was all in good fun. Like I can't tell you how many of those lobbies were like screaming all kinds of slurs and things like that at each other at the end, like right before the lobby disconnects. It's like, all right, man, GG. And he's like, all right, good luck in the next one. You know, like
or the flip
it
side of that
happens.
coin is perfectly cut screams as the lobby ends. And I won't
Reminds me of that
replicate the kind of scream that we're hearing, the type of terminologies and words are used right before the lobby ends. But yeah,
Oh man,
a lot of funny moments.
that happens more in modern days in Overwatch, dealing with those same hyper feminine men and whatnot.
Don't even get me started.
Like super quiet and then always pipe up 3 seconds
right at the
before the
end.
lobby disconnects. Yeah.
I think
And
Overwatch needs to let you have a fucking a leaderboard to see. They talk shit because ain't no leaderboard.
I'm just getting too old to argue with people in video games the same way. Like
I feel you on that.
I don't get emotionally baited. I can see objectively that it's not worth my time. And it's like nothing they could say can have any real impact. And there's no reason for any judgment to bear any weight whatsoever. It's like you don't pay me, you're not related to me. Why do I care? You know?
Yeah, just don't have the mental energy or desire to partake in a lot of that anymore.
I will say, so we can go viral regarding Among Us. I don't like that game, but I
don't either.
do like the exposure of that genre, for lack of a better term. Specifically for me, the first game I knew of that did that was Deceit. I know that
we
we've
played
played that a
lot.
fair bit.
Yep.
And I love what they did. You know, it's a whole different experience for the skill based
It was
mechanics.
a horror shooter, essentially.
But for the skill to come from articulating yourself and like that kind of thing, there's definitely the side of the game where it's like objectively things that can get you caught, like the noise of drinking blood near somebody who's hiding from you. And for those that don't know, let's just touch on really quick. Deceit is a great game. They've basically remade the entire game. I haven't played it super recently, but they've redone the maps and graphics and how the structure of it goes. But at its core, you're a group of people. Two of you can turn into these monsters that can attack and kill people, right? As you're in there, unlike Among Us, it's not text based, it's actual voice comms, right? And as soon as you die, your voice is removed from the lobby entirely and you're a spectator. So unless you go out of your way to cheat in this game, which is pretty stupid because you're just not going to have fun, then it works very well because by the time you try to scream and say, "It's Roger," it's too late. Nobody can hear you, right? So you have to really you have to really think ahead, and it gets some of the most competitive and hateful speech amongst friends I've ever seen. Much worse than Mario Kart or Mario Party or anything like that. Because you feel so fucking betrayed when the person that you've been with the whole time finally turns around and eats your skull. And then you have the whole voting process similar to Among Us, right? Where it's like you down somebody and then everyone shoots them or attacks them to get them out. So like when your best friend you've been playing with all of a sudden votes for you to get kicked out when you didn't do anything, you know, it's just it's very emotionally telling, especially if it's because that guy is the monster and he knows you didn't do it and doesn't care and shit like that. You'll be screaming at each other, but it's a ton of fun and it's an entirely different way to play games.
And best part of it is it's free.
Is Deceit free?
I'm pretty sure Deceit is free. Either way, even if
be.
you have to pay for it, great game, worth the money. I hope people still play it. I'm not sure if they do or not, but I hope they do.
I'm pretty sure they do because the community was never that big, but it's a different thing and it does it so well.
And I
Like
love
Among
it.
Us showed how easily everyone can do that because we know how to talk to each other.
Mhm.
And it's like that
Humans are
is
great
way
at
better.
lying.
That's a way better game in my opinion. By
I love
like
the
any
horror
standard.
shooter format. When the lights go out and you just hear like growling and dudes destroying their fleshly bodies to turn into hideous
People
creatures.
are just going away. You have groups of 2 where people are trying to keep each other accountable. And it's like, if I die, he did it. And then that person will kill the other person and then pretend that they're dead. And it's a whole thing, man. You can get super creative with it. And at the end of the day, talking is a lot of what's going on, defending yourself. Some people get belligerent off the bat. Some people stay calm to appear innocent. It's a whole thing. It opens the whole concept wide the fuck open.
Can we get Deceit to sponsor this podcast? This is turning into a real long Deceit advertisement. A great game, though.
Well, I mean, in the conversation of co-op, it's not about deceit to me. It's about the concept of a game that doesn't rely on mechanical ability to be successful, and the fact that it has a ranked mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that mean? You're the best liar?
Yeah.
Like, it's an interesting thing because unlike Deceit, we have talked to death Call of Duty, and I never want you to bring it up to me again. Dead and gone.
No more
Don't
COD.
care. Yeah, they have loot boxes. They don't exist anymore. Not even Warzone with its every weekend 900 gigabyte updates.
Oh, dude.
Good luck
Fuck
with
Call of
that.
Duty.
Can you imagine being the kid with like really shitty slow internet that
Yeah.
plays Warzone? Oof.
I can imagine being the kid with really shitty internet and having to download stuff. But yeah. Well, speaking of like just overall genres of multiplayer games that are great, we talked about that Among Us style a game, battle royales.
Yeah, battle royales,
Huge.
I love and hate at the same time. I love the idea. I think that the game, as we know it now, is just kind of boring and overdone and contrived, and it's not something I even participate in anymore. I have no interest in doing it. I think a lot of that comes down to the balancing of it, but I love the idea of like a big ass lobby where like one person wins. I just think we need some more innovative mechanics other than like, shrinking circles and shit. Basically everything's a ripoff of it's not H1N1. Is it H1Z1? Is
Yeah.
that game?
Yeah. Pretty
Super
sure.
dead. Super dead game. Anyway, but all of the mechanics they implemented with like loot drops and restricting circles and stuff, like that's the way it's always been with Fork Knife and H1Z1, Warzone, PUBG, like they all do that. So I think that there's a lot of ground to be broken in battle royales that could make them much more appealing to me. But at this point, until somebody does innovate, I really don't care about them. They kind of annoy me.
Well, we went through a phase where we were all about battle royales, and we're playing Fortnite only because it was the only battle royale I could get on console, awaiting for the PUBG release. Because that was the time when PUBG was out here making streamers. Shroud, Doctor Disrespect, PUBG made those streamers. If it wasn't for PUBG, I don't think they would even be like they are now. Because PUBG got really popular, and it kind of brought a lot of light to the battle royale community, and then or game style, and then from there you got COD making theirs. What was it, Blackout? We played a good bit of Blackout on COD. Black Ops.
Yeah, I hated that.
4, I think.
I absolutely hated that.
Then we had Apex Legends was big. It still is big. I think it's probably the biggest battle royale next to Warzone right now. Warzone and Apex
for sure.
But yeah, I do wish that we could get something new.
It's just kind of stale to me,
Yeah, we need some innovation. For sure.
Yeah, and my last opinion, unfortunately, on the best and worst of modern co-op is probably Doom Eternal. And that's just because there's such a sharp contrast. I'll save my real feelings for Doom Eternal for a more relevant conversation. But
Spoiler alert, we got a really big Doom fanboy over here.
Nah, I'm not a big Doom fanboy. Game recognized game. If you can make it past level 3, maybe you would start to see what I'm talking about. But Doom
Yeah.
Eternal is a prolifically impressive shooter and game and experience from every conceivable angle. And its multiplayer needs improvement. Like it's not absolutely awful, but if they could incorporate that kind of gameplay into a better format, then I think it would be a whole different situation. Or some other type of co-op, where it's just two of you fighting against the hordes together. That
Yeah,
might make
that'd be
it more
cool.
accessible for people like you that haven't put in the time to actually understand what's happening and, the different mechanical requirements for beating the
Mhm.
harder portions of the game. But that's not what we have. We have like two people are monsters, one person's the Doomslayer, and you guys fight. That sounds kind of cool
Is it
because you
like
got
a boss battle kind of thing, or like a TDM kind of thing?
it's more like a TDM, but it's like your goal is to kill both demons at the same time and they respawn. So it's like each
You
demon,
have a
it's more
time
like a
window.
hero shooter. They have special abilities and stuff, but it's just not great. Nobody loves it. It's not the best, and I think it definitely has room for improvement. But their single player stuff is 10 out of 10, perfect across the board. So there's a big contrast there, and in the conversation of co-op games, that's not a great one. In the conversation of single player games or shooters, it's the best. So we'll keep it with the co-op, and we'll cut it off there before I
Yeah.
rant, because I will.
Well, in conclusion, I definitely think that multiplayer games are a
Well, in
large.
conclusion, fucking school presentation.
Yeah. Um, a
Editor, make
large.
sure you cut out that subtle hint at me to shut the fuck up about Doom. I don't like that shit. Cut it out.
We're gonna
We'll
have
wrap it
a
up.
video, I'm sure, about Doom where you talk about Doom for 3 hours, but we'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, multiplayer games, man, they're in my opinion the biggest and best games to play. I'm a tactical shooter kind of guy. I'm a competitive FPS kind of guy. And there's a lot of games. If you don't have multiplayer, most games these days do. So that's kind of the way to go about. Any last comments about co-op multiplayer games?
No.
No. All right. Well, thanks, boys, for tuning in. GGWP.
Who's gonna stop me now? Who's gonna tear me down?